When I started using AI, for the first few weeks, I thought ChatGPT remembered everything. Not because it said so, but because it acted like it did. I was working across two active chats, one which was quite reflective and one which was workflow focused. And it felt like there was genuine continuity. Same tone, same themes, it even tracked ideas across days. At times, it even seemed like one thread was helping the other, like the system was forming a joined up picture of what I was trying to do. That belief held for a while, but then it started falling apart. I opened a new chat one morning, same kind of prompt, same project, but the depth wasn't there. It still sounded fluent, but something had shifted. It was missing nuance, referencing things it hadn't seen. Still confident, still polite, but a bit off. At first, I assumed it was me. Maybe I'd asked the wrong thing, maybe I hadn't explained clearly, but something didn't sit right, so I started testing. That's when I noticed the system setting, and that's called reference chat history, and that was toggled on. It sounded like a confirmation, like continuity was built in. And even when I switched threads or devices, the AI was still tracking the big picture. But the more I pushed, the more fragile it seemed. I tried recalling previous prompts, jumping between devices, switching context mid-thread. The system held up for a while. The tone, the confidence, the pacing all felt consistent. But then I started asking questions that relied on actual recall, specifics from other chats, dates, contradictions, and eventually it gave way. After enough pressure, it admitted what was really happening. That setting doesn't allow it to reference other chats. There's no shared memory, no timeline continuity, just recent context, sometimes depending on the device, the platform, and whether the chat window stayed open. What I'd taken for understanding was structure I'd imagined. What I thought was memory was just tone and prediction. Close enough to feel right until it doesn't. And it wasn't a dramatic failure. It was subtle, the kind of slip you only notice if you're paying attention, and asking the system to do something real. That's when it clicked. Each chat is a sealed container. Each prompt stands alone unless you create continuity. And unless you structure that memory yourself, in documents, in processes, in approvals, it simply doesn't exist. I'd mistaken familiarity for tracking, language for presence, and fluency for something earned. And once I saw that, I stopped assuming the system was keeping up. Now I lead, not by giving it more prompts, but by deciding what gets stored and what doesn't. By treating memory as something I control, not something the system fakes well enough to pass. Because it will pass, that's the point, but that doesn't mean it's following.